we gonna have some fun today. Not only do I get to review an absolute grail knife of mine, but I get to tell you the story of how this community came together to make sure that Mrs. Deadly got her grail knife. That's right, we looking at the Divo Tallboy, and I'm gonna tell you whether or not this was worth the headaches that Lou cost me. Stick around. What it do, Kripple Krew? EDC with DBD, disabled by Deadly, here with example number 7,849 of why the EDC community is the best community in the world. Before I get into that, stab that like button like you mean it. Make sure that you've /subscribe and that you've bashed that bell for notifications so that you don't miss anything like tomorrow's Tactical Tuesday members only giveaway. Now, before we talk about the Divo Knives Tallboy, this beautiful purple nurple version, I gotta set the stage a little bit. Let's go back to June of 2024, Father's Day to be exact. I started EDC with DBD, my channel on YouTube and on Instagram. TikTok came a few months later. And right off the bat, War Room EDC, aka Chris Warris, was one of my earliest supporters. He would contact me and, just chat me up about knives. He was the first person to send me a box of knives to review and some to give away. We made trades. He was the first person in the EDC community I traded directly with. This is all before he became the first member of Kripple Krew Inc. when I became monetized. He was my very first paid member. But before that, he'd been supporting the channel, and in September of last year, we had the chance to meet up with Chris. He was driving truck across my state, and the highway he was going to go on was going to be about an hour away from where we live. And so we, Mrs. Deadly and I, drove out to meet up with Chris and go break some bread with him. We went, and first we checked out his awesome big red truck. And he and I were looking at a bunch of knives while he was in the truck, or while we were in there. He had everything that Tempest had done to date, everything that Divo had done to date. He had so many knives. He had Spydercos with him. He had a lot of other knives. He had the Militov that he spent so much time chasing and that soured him on Kaiser. But we checked out a bunch of knives, and then we went to sit down and eat and talk. And he had a few knives on him. And while we were sitting at the table, he pulled out this version of the Divo Tallboy. Mrs. Deadly made direct eye contact with this. And for me, it was like when my dog sees a squirrel and his pupils focus and he goes hunter mode. Mrs. Deadly saw this, and she says, okay, I know what a Grail knife is. She was checking it out. She says, this is my Grail knife. And these were sold out at the time. But I knew that eventually I was going to have to find a way to get her one. Before I continue this story, I'm going to give you some specs on the Divo Tallboy. This, at the time, was Divo's longest knife overall, at a full 8 inches, with a 3.5-inch S90V Wharncliffe blade with a beautiful hollow grind and dual satin finish. We have a close length of 4.5 inches with gorgeous purple flow carbon fiber, or camo carbon. We have titanium hardware, titanium pocket clip, tip up as the gods intended, and reversible. Beautiful full length, mostly full length titanium backspacer. And then a blade stock thickness coming in at 120 thousandths. This S90V vacuum treat and cryo, heat treat with cryo at 60 to 62 HRC, and their samples came in at 62. 60 to 62 is the perfect range to get the maximum edge retention out of this S90V. And that's what this steel is known for, is edge retention. Edge retention, edge retention, edge retention. That's what this is known for. It is a stainless steel. It is not a tough steel. So it is prone to chippage and such if you were to drop it, or, you know, if you're cutting through something and get to a thick staple or a nail or something, you can absolutely chip that blade. But it's going to hold that beautiful thin slicey edge for a long time. This 8-inch overall length knife comes in at only 3.1 ounces. Yes, we are below that inch to ounce ratio, and we are balanced right there at that for grip position. Now, the ergos on this bad boy are lined up perfectly. This fits your palm great, and with my extra large glove size hands behind the pivot, I can easily get a full 4-finger grip with room. We've got a very comfortable saber grip back here. But then we've got this beautiful choke up point right here with this full finger choil. It is also a very good sharpening choil. As you can see, our plunge grind starts here. It ends right here. So from here on out is sharpening life. And that S90V is going to stay sharp like I said. If you did need to extend the sharpening choil, it lands so far back there that it is it might as well be internal. It's not going to affect you deciding to extend that sharpening choil. These ergos right here with this finger choil are beautiful. The jimping locks you in. The way this curves in my palm is perfect, or angles in my palm is perfect, and I really feel locked in. Pinch grip. This worn clip is just made for it. That tip is already down, well below the center line of the pivot. That sharp, pokey tip is going to be great for utility style cuts. We've got jimping out here on the blade so that I can really get control on that tip. Turning it around to cut straps, very comfortable. Flipping this around to a beef jerky Avenger grip, I am capped off, I am locked in, I am going nowhere near that blade, even if there's some beef jerky juice on it. Flipping it around to a beef jerky Avenger grip, and I am again capped off. That pocket clip is helping me with my grip, and I know that this blade is not going anywhere. We always recommend a fixed blade for beef jerky defense, but of course you use what's on you, and a worn clip is the perfect blade shape. It gives you the sharp pokey tip, but it also carries the full strength of the cut all the way out to that tip without sliding out. I know you want to see how sharp this S90V is. Whoop, that was me. Let me get it better. Not already shredded piece of paper right quick. And yes, it is definitely plenty sharp. Mrs. Deadly has used this knife, this beautiful, beautiful knife. And now we will continue our story. Before we continue our review, we've talked about ergos. Next, we're going to talk about action and lockup. But after this meal with War Room, we go home and I start trying to figure out what I'm going to do. War Room, in the meanwhile, trades the Kripple Tallboy to somebody, for a knife that he really wanted. Obviously, of course, that was his prerogative. But when Mrs. Deadly found out that he traded it, and she didn't know what was up for trade or even available. He was on her crap list for a while. Yep. She put him on her crap list. So we're gonna fast forward. Another drop. New drop of these. Different colors come out. War Room gets the Wakanda Forever, which is purple with blacked out blade, blacked out hardware. He picks that one up. Meanwhile, homeboy Jim Cox buys a few of them to see which version he likes better. Knows that I am in the market for one because the Tallboy is one of my Grail knives. It's the Divo knife that I want the most. So he reaches out to me, tells me he's got one available. I'm like, okay, I want it. It was the dark mode of a version, titanium version from Blade Binge. I said, okay, I want it, please. So it worked out. He gave me exactly what he paid for it, is all he charged me for it, which was awesome of him. And then I reached out to Brother War Room. I said, hey, I got a dark mode coming. In the meantime, he had made a trade with our sis Kelly, who had this one and wanted the Wakanda Forever, the purple and black, because that's her main combo. War Room traded that one to her and got this one in his possession. And then we made the trade. Jim Cox sent War Room the dark mode. This one came to my house, and we got home from a trip, and Mrs. Deadly's Grail knife, along with one of my top Grail knives that I'd made a trade with for War Room, were both at the house. Talk about an amazing new knife day. I'm going to give you a size comparison here next to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 Wharncliffe Rendition. As you can see, the Divo Tallboy is a full-size knife. The PM2 is definitely a little longer. Let's compare it with a couple other Divos. How about the Divo Growler? Love this knife. Such a fun knife. Divo's designs are all fire. I don't think there's a one that I wouldn't love to have in my collection. Here it is next to the Growler. As you can see, a fair amount bigger. And next to my very first Divo in my collection, the Divo Premium Pony Stout. This was also a knife that came to me via trade because of this awesome community. This is a knife that I got in trade with Rolf Robertson. Shout out, big homie Rolf. And as you can see, the Tallboy is quite a bit longer than the Premium Pony Stout. These would actually make a perfect 1-2 punch as your main knife in your fifth pocket. Love the Premium Pony Stout as a fifth pocket knife. So there's some size comparisons for you. Now, in between all of this, so in between September of last year and we got home on like the 4th or 5th of June of this year. So 9 months. 9 months I'm working, trying to make this happen. Trying to figure out how I'm going to get Mrs. Deadly the exact one she wants. And this entire time, any live stream that he's on, Lou give me crap, especially if Mrs. Deadly is on. Lou always asking, hey, Mrs. Deadly, did Deebs get you your Grail knife yet? Hey, Mrs. Deadly, Deebs get you your Tallboy? Hey, Mrs. Deadly, yes, Lou, Mrs. Deadly has her Tallboy. Now, Divo calls this an exposed liner lock. And that's a perfect explanation. It is a liner, and part of it is exposed. You know, you can think of it as like a bolster lock because it acts very similarly as far as how much is exposed. But it is done with a steel liner. And, you know what? I want to check something real quick. Okay, yes, I just want to make sure I was saying it is a steel liner. I thought so because I didn't see a lock bar insert, so I knew it had to be. But we are locked up at right about 40%. We have zero lock stick. And look how much of this scale is cut back to give you access to that lock bar. This has maybe the best access of any liner lock I have ever checked out. It's so easy. They didn't even need to jimp the liner lock because it is so easy to move out of the way. The blade is actuated with the dual-sided thumb studs or that blade hole. Very easy to flick off that blade hole. Matter of fact, this is a very easy 5-finger flick challenge knife because this detent is tuned perfectly. And look how much room you have to get to those thumb studs. That is easy to get to even with gloves. Because of our access to the liner lock, we have mad access to those thumb studs. I would like to see more thumb hole knives or blade hole knives do a thumb stud. I dig the combination. And if you don't want the thumb studs, you can take them out and just use the blade hole. It's easy, however you like to do it. I love the titanium purple accents. They go so well with that carbon. Let's get a good look at that carbon, folks. Looks so nice. Divo stays killing it. Lefty knows what people want. Colin knows how to design a phenomenal knife. And you know, even the little things that we all want, like full T8 hardware, even on the pocket clip. You know, that's important. T6 is much more likely to strip, but still widely used. This really does feel phenomenal. I haven't personally used this one much because this is Mrs. Deadly's Grail knife. But I am still on the prowl, and I will get me a Tallboy at some point. I'm not trying to sell you anything. These are all sold out. But I love what Divo Knives is doing, so always keep an eye on their drops. I will try to keep you informed of what they have going on. I hope everybody has a killer day, night, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of Mrs. Deadly's knife. Stay safe, stay frosty, and most importantly, folks, stay deadly.